when I turned it on tonight, it said update completed. When I turned it on tonight, it said update completed.
This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net on the '08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. The Western Washington Amateur Television Society is a group of amateur radio enthusiasts that take to the airwaves with digital amateur television in the DVB-T format. We transmit on 70 centimeters through a repeater on Cougar Mountain and spits out images at 1.2 gigahertz. To find out more about our organization, please Google WW7ATS. It'll take you to our homepage. There you'll find the exact frequencies we receive and transmit on. Also, you'll find a link to YouTube, where we stream our nets held Wednesdays and Saturdays between 8 and 9 o'clock. Also, we'd like to thank the SeaTac Repeater Association for letting us use WW7STR's repeater 147.08 with a specific tone of 103.5. So on behalf of the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, I'll pause in case anybody has emergency traffic or needs to make a contact on the '08 machine before our net gets fully underway. This is Dave, KD7ZYM. Hearing none, again, this is Dave, KD7ZYM. Checked into our net already by video link is Ron, KD7QKU in Tacoma, Bob, K9PQ in Bothell, 87NP in Clyde Hill, and myself, Dave, KD7ZYM. And let's not overlook Jim, N7QO in Covington. So is there anybody else wishing to check in?
Dave, this is James, WU7N in Northeast Bellevue. I'm in the stack right after Jim tonight.
Okay, again, this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net. Let's start off with Ron, KD7QKU.
This is Ron, KD7QKU. Good evening all. Nice to see everybody. I just sent Richard a text. I don't know if he was getting on before I texted him, but I told him it'd be nice to see him. So it is nice to see him. So I always have to start it off, and I don't do very much, but I'll tell you a story about my haircut yesterday. So I went into the barber shop. It's over on 6th Avenue. And I'm sitting there. There's a guy in the chair getting his hair cut about like Carlos. He didn't look like he needed a haircut. He probably gets it cut every week or two. And the guy next to me on my left looked like Wade, and the guy on my right-hand side was a young guy, probably 20, and he had short hair. And then the guy across from him looked like Dave. He had a full beard, but his hair was down to his shoulders. He looked like he hadn't had a haircut in a year. And then I'm sitting there, and I heard somebody come in the barber shop, and John the barber said hello, and the guy said hello to him or something. And I looked to my left, and there was a man standing there. I would say he's coming in. He's about 60, I would say, with a crew cut. He had shorts on, and he had a black tank top on. A stocky guy, real muscular. And he had this tank top, and it was a black tank top, and I would say it kind of had an American flag. There were some red, white, and blue stripes, maybe stars in the background, and then across it in big, bold red letters it said Trump. And I looked at him, and on his right hip he had a holster, and he had a semi-automatic in it, you know, plain sight, open carry, and it looked bigger than a 9mm. I thought maybe it was a 40 caliber or something. Anyway, he came in, and he definitely had a presence about him, and everybody kind of stopped. And he sat down right across from me in the open chair, and I'm thinking to myself, oh brother, this guy looks like a Proud Boy or something. And I'm thinking, do I want to engage this guy in conversation? I don't know if I even want to look at him. But anyway, I looked around, and he's looking right at me. And he said, hi, real nice. And so I said, hi, real nice. I could tell he wanted to talk. He started to talk, and I told him I didn't have my hearing aids in, and I couldn't hear very well. And so he slid forward in his chair, and I slid forward in my chair. And we started to carry on a conversation. He's a very pleasant person, very nice, well-spoken. He sounded like he'd just driven across the United States, and he thought the gas prices here in Washington was terrible. And he definitely didn't like the Democrats and everything. And then about that time, the guy next to me got out of the chair, the young guy got in the chair, and he had short hair, and I think maybe he said something about JBLM. Maybe he said he needed a haircut before he went back or something. And then the guy across from me taking up a conversation with him and the barber, and then I heard the guy across from me say that he'd been in the Marines for 30 years. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I bet he was in special forces or something. He looked like he didn't need to carry the gun. He had big shoulders and big muscles, and for a guy about 60, he was in really good condition. I was saying, if there was a fight, I definitely would want him on my side. So I don't know if he thought I looked like the most redneck guy in there, so he decided to talk to me or not. So I don't know. But anyway, he's a very pleasant person. So then it was my turn to get in the chair. So I got in the chair, and then I looked, and there was a little young lady with a little girl, probably about 8 years old, and a little boy, probably about 6 or 7. And she come walking in, and she sat down in my chair, and I'm thinking to myself, I was watching for her reaction when she looked over there and saw this guy with this big gun on his hip. And so she did. She looked over there, and I swear her eyes got wide. But anyway, he wasn't threatening or anything. He was just, like I say, I felt like he was probably a Proud Boy. So if you have a big red Trump across your shirt, maybe you need to carry a gun. I don't know. Anyway, I thought you guys might be interested in that story. Back to net, KD7QKU.
looks like my stream has started. So yeah, that's a wild story there. Whoops, gotta get the headphones off. I have another slideshow. This was when I went out to Lake Roosevelt, and this is the last one that's pre-made, so I'm going to have to make some new, gather some files together in folders to make this easy slideshow. So let me switch it in. This is a houseboat that at that time, this was a few years ago, I'm sure it's, unless they've gone out of business, it's probably still going. Um, and it's on Lake Roosevelt. You can rent it and take it out for several days, and it can sleep a lot of people. It's got I think about 3 or 4 double-sized beds. You can see in one of these pictures, a couple of these pictures, that some of them are sort of like on a higher bunk almost, but they're their own room. So you really can barely just sit up in bed. You can't stand up there. And then there's more room on the roof. So if it's nice weather, you can just sleep out under the stars. And what people do generally, in fact, I think what you're told to do is you go and drive it out somewhere, and then they've got these really big stakes and a big hammer, and you hammer them in on the shore, and you tie the ropes to those, and that's where you stay for the night. And typically, what people will do is they will come. With other boats and things, and so this will be sort of their base, and then they'll do water skiing and other things on the lake. It's a nice lake out there, and we were looking at doing that at one time, friend and I, but I don't think that's going to happen now. But it's a good time. It would be a good time. It's a great thing for any kind of like a family reunion, or um, some other party where you're getting people together. I guess a bachelor party, something like that. Anyway, I'll send it back to Nick.
PQ, thanks for that. Let's see. Let's go to Clyde Hill.
Oops, let's mute. I think I'm on. At least I see myself. Let's see, where's our Discord. Oh, there it is. So this is 87NP, Carlos from Clydesdale. Just heads up, James, I sent you an email to replace the key on your OBS because it had expired. Bob had the same issue, and Bob is already working with a new key for OBS. Unfortunately, the Echolink node that connects to the O8 machine seems to be off, so there's no way to send the audio there. We'll have to wait for a way to replace the repeater there so that we can have the audio flowing again, or we'll try something else. Ron, good story. It's my experience also that, at least so far, that kind of dialogue and kind of helps with everyone that is willing to do a dialogue, independent of what they carry. In the end, I think open carry is always more revealing than you never know about people that are concealing, so who knows? So at least that's more upfront. That's how I feel. And Bob, good copy there of the images, and it's good to see the houseboat. The weather has been super nice. I definitely need to start thinking about getting on the lake again. It has been swim weather, so I was able to just get into nice. I did spend some time also on the roof. I added, let's see if it shows. I added 2 antennas. Well, I added more, but they can't see. And I keep forgetting that I should rotate my camera so that it just shows. So those 2 little white things now are the 2.4 gigahertz and the 5.6 gigahertz for the ICOM 905, getting ready for the VHF contest. I think it's next week. And I added also an HF antenna, but it's not there. Given that Step IR stopped being in business, so I think I'll be getting an Italian antenna, which is the Ultra Beam. So that will be the next project. Bob, I had a suggestion for you. Besides the, I think you're now a master on the photos. When you create the scenes for the photos, you might want to also just add on the corner an image of your own camera, so you can mix both your camera and the photos like a YouTube gamer in terms of mixing everything. It's quite easy to put all of that together on your source. Very good. And back to Dave Net Control from 87 NPN Clydesdale. And Dave, I just saw your image for a little bit before, so maybe the receptor is heating up over there, and maybe we'll get your image. Back to Dave from
87 NP, thanks very much for that. And let's see if we can pick up Jim in 7QO in Covington.
And 7QO. Thank you, Dave. Good evening, everyone. Well, unfortunately, our television repeater is not doing as well tonight as it was even last week, our last net. I can tell it's on high power. I clearly see a -17. But Ron, I did not hear a single word you said. I received 2 still pictures of you. And Bob, I got no audio from you and no video from you. Ron's picture was on for all the while that you were talking and for almost all of the while that Carlos was speaking. Carlos, I got 3 still pictures from you, and you are still up. And I heard you say one word, gamer. That's all I got. At least, Dave, I can hear you well on the 2-meter machine. And I heard Bellevue Jim check in on the 2-meter machine. Let's see, what else do I have to say? Our computer with the camera, it decided to blow up. So that's the bad news. The good news, or maybe it's bad news, is we're going to wind up getting another computer of some sort. My wife was on a Zoom meeting and the thing literally went snap, crackle, pop, and the screen separated from the case. It was the battery deciding that it wanted to be larger than it was. So probably ought not use it anymore, and we'll wind up getting something else. Have to wait, see, or have to shop around for some sales. Probably won't be able to get around to that until sometime this coming week. But anyway, not much new with me. Things are busy, but not anything that I like to do. I spent a lot of time the past couple of days doing yard work, and it's not over yet. So let's see. Since I'm not getting anything out of anything worth watching or hearing out of the television repeater, I think I'm going to call it a night. I'll try again on Wednesday. Good night, everyone. Back to you, Dave, and 7QO.
7QO, thanks for that. Let's go to James, WU7N in Northeast Bellevue.
This is James, WU7N. Oh, error. I don't know. I'm trying to go live here, coming in on the internet, and it didn't take it. So we'll have to see what happens here next. I'm going ahead and share, see if that comes through or not. I don't know if anybody can see that or not, but I'm getting repeated errors. That would be because I don't have the new key. Didn't get it in time, Carlos. Thank you very much for sending it, but I guess the reason I'm getting errors on OBS is that I don't have the new key loaded. So thank you for sending that. I'll definitely be ready for that on Wednesday. Well, anyway, if you can see the Far Side cartoon up here, that's one of my favorites. Its caption reads, "How Nature Says Do Not Touch." Ron, there you go. One of my favorites. And what it does, it shows the rattlesnake and the puffer shitfish, and then the cat with its back arched, and it shows a gentleman with unique fashion accoutrements. So anyway, well, I was going to say, I guess Hannibal Lecter was really a nice guy too. He was a good conversationalist. He always enjoyed his time with Clarice in that movie Silence of the Lambs. Let's see, Houseboat Base. Bob, I saw all those pictures. That looks like quite a way to spend a weekend. And I'm wondering though, what kind of captain's license you have to drive it out to wherever it is you're going to be, and then put it out there for the night. Something tells me more than a 10-minute orientation would be required to safely get something that big up and down the Puget Sound corridor. Ron is shaking his head right now. I'm sure he could do it with no problem whatsoever, but all the rest of us might need a little more than 10 minutes. Carlos, thank you very much for the antenna pictures. I wish you the best of luck on the VHF contest. That looks like an impressive array. Jim, if you're still there, sorry, your computer, I've heard of people saying their computer blowing up, but never literally. You're the first person that I know personally, other than the YouTube video, like the one of the Sky Course going out to a plane where somebody's laptop or something literally caught on fire. You're the first person I personally know of that's actually had batteries cause the screen to separate and everything to go crazy on it. So best of luck with that. Just remember, in the 1800s, they had posters of how to throw things out windows that were on fire because they had kerosene lamps, and sometimes they would tip over, say, on a table with a tablecloth or something. So they taught kids to throw the window open and gather up the whole tablecloth and everything on it and just throw it out the window. And you were supposed to do that before the whole table caught on fire. So maybe we'll be back to the future there with the 1800s technique for controlling computer overheats. Okay, well, what I'm doing, I'm on 2 meters with the volume turned off, and I'm on Discord with the volume turned off. And I guess, let's see, I'm not coming through on the site, because I don't have the right key loaded. So I'll see if I can get that fixed. This is James, WU7N in Northeast Bellevue. Let's turn it back to Dave, our net control for the Western Washington Amateur Television Society. Take it away, Dave.
WU7N, thanks for that. This is Dave, KD7ZYM. And we need an ID. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the OA machine. Again, I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Well, here in Lake City, I got 74 degrees and it's clear outside. Sun's still shining a little bit. And let's see, my better part of the morning was making some chicken noodle soup. I made about a gallon of that out of a Costco rotisserie chicken, and with carrots, celery, and onions. And anyway, that turned out pretty good. Did some yard work this afternoon, and then all of a sudden, pollen allergies from the grass in the area just said hello to me. So anyway, that was kind of bad. So came inside, did some domestic chores. But for the hot weather tomorrow and the next day, I had gone down to my basement and it was cool. So I think that's where I'll be sorting stuff to get rid of to Goodwill tomorrow during the hot weather. So that's what's happening there. And this is Dave, KD7ZYM. So let's send it back up to Ron, KD7QKU.
Okay, Dave, Richard's here. I don't know if Richard can get in. Can Richard get in, Carlos? Do you know? And does everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me? I know. Oh, James can't hear me. Carlos hears me, and I know, pretty sure Dave did. So maybe I told that story and nobody heard me. I don't know. So Bob, James, I'll take Bob's thunder. So I'm sure that he was talking about Lake Roosevelt, which is above the Grand Coulee Dam. So those boats, that's where I've seen him over there, and I think that's where he was at on the Columbia River over there. It's really pretty. It's big like a lake, sandy beaches, lots of places, coves to pull into. So anyway, so let's see. It was cooler here today. Yesterday I saw 82 on the thermometer, and today I only saw 76. It's 71 outside right now. So we go to a Rainier baseball game tomorrow. I don't know if we'll be sitting in the sun or the shade, but if it was going to be 87, I was a little bit worried it'd be too hot, but if it's like today, it would be just fine. So Dave, I don't know if you want to try to get Richard, but I'm looking at him on the computer. So anyway, back to net, KD7QKU.
KD7QKU, thanks for that. And talk about Richard, K7ITX. Let's go visit Richard, K7ITX.
Yeah, hi, everybody. Good evening. I have to monitor both 2-meter and then also the streaming on our website to be able to get, the streaming on our website, I hear Ron and Carlos and Bob. And 2-meter, I hear Dave and James and Cummington Jim. So, yeah, you have to monitor more than one audio frequency, or you don't hear what people are talking about. Yeah, no, Ron, and I heard your story. That was a pretty good story. You don't see open and carry very often. or twice in my whole life that I've seen that. One guy was in our neighborhood, actually. One of the neighbors had a pretty big looking firearm strapped to his leg. I don't know what he was going to do. Is going to target practice or what? But he had a reason to have it on the open. Well, I guess if you don't have a concealed weapons permit, I don't think you have any choice. Let's see, what else? Oh, yeah, and I've done the houseboat thing. Not on Lake Roosevelt. How about the gorge? Just right underneath the gorge amphitheater on the Columbia River. Really a lot of fun. I mean, gosh, and you're right, those houseboats sleep just a ton of people. I mean, I think we had maybe about 8 bodies on our boat, and it's just it's the home base of where everybody swims and inner tubes and all kinds of fun things. So anyway, yeah, no, and we loaded up out of Vantage, just right, below the Vantage Bridge. There's a marina and dock situation, and then we went up towards the gorge and spent the night just in a little lagoon, like where a sandbar was set up, and just really a good time. Today was exercise as much as you can think you can handle. Doing practicing steps, going up and down the stairs, that sort of thing. Just I have a built-in gymnasium just by walking up and down my stairs. That's pretty much it takes quite a toll, but I'm getting stronger and stronger the more I do it. And then I walked around a couple city blocks here around the big loop. It's about a half-mile loop around our neighborhood, and that was fun. Well, wait a minute. Did I say that was fun? That was work. So anyway, what a beautiful day, though. And the mountain is just glorious right now. And tomorrow who knows, man, what I'm going to be able to do in the heat tomorrow. But I should get started early, and I'll be just fine. K7 ITF, back to net control.
7ITX, thanks for that. Now let's go to Bob in Bothell, K9BQ.
Great idea. You ask and you shall receive. So, uh, oops, there go the headphones again. I keep forgetting to take them off. It has the added benefit of now my picture is smaller, so you can get the nice pictures to look at bigger, and mine is smaller. um, so let's see. Yeah, I don't know if Jim is still listening, but the battery expansion, that's crazy. I've never I've heard people talk about like batteries getting hot, and one person even got kind of a condition on her legs because she was literally putting it on her lap, and she got nothing serious, but like a skin condition from the heat. And but I have to have my bad joke for the evening, and that is that the battery expansion was inevitable. It was the battery's manifest destiny. So there you go. The houseboat, yeah, no license required, because no one's paying me, right? So I'm paying them to rent it. But if someone was hiring me to drive them, that'd be a different story. But so the houseboat is just and it is on Lake Roosevelt. That's where we saw it. That's where we used to go pretty often when my friend still had a boat. But he sold his boat, so we don't go out there anymore. But at that time, we were going most summers, and it was just sort of a thought. We never could get enough people together to make it worthwhile. It's rather expensive, but if you split it 8 ways or something, it's a great deal. Um, let's see, throwing burning things out the window. Yeah, that's wild. That is wild, and I kind of can see that from, especially from the days like you're describing in the 1800s, where most people got their water from a hand pump, from a well. So you're not going to just be spraying water on it to put the fire out. Throw it out the window. Makes a lot of sense. Richard, great to see you. And yeah, the built-in gym. I'm glad you're up and around and doing this stuff. That's really good. I know it's hard work, and but man, just so good to hear. And as far as monitoring 2 meters, I get everything from 2 meters coming on the output stream, but it's a lower volume, so you probably can hear better directly from the radio for those that are using 2 meters. But I do hear everybody. I've heard everybody tonight, including I did hear the open carry story. And yeah, I had a friend that he didn't do it all the time, but he open carried occasionally. And he we met at a restaurant in Seattle, and he got a lot a lot of looks. It was a little cafe, I guess you would call it, but he got a lot of looks from people with open carrying there in Seattle at this cafe. This was many years ago, but yeah, um, it's something pretty rare. You don't see it very often. I think that's all I have. I did not get out and walk around, and you're putting me to shame, Richard. So I think I'm going to plan to do that tomorrow, also to cool off a bit, because I don't know about. Normally, I've got my air conditioning set up, but it's packed away. It doesn't look good for showing the house or showing the condo. So unless I decide to, pull it out and then put it back again, pull it out, put it back again, we'll see. I might do that if it gets hot enough, long enough. I will do that. But I think for tomorrow, I like the idea of going to a lake. I might go out to Lake Sammamish and do a little swimming out there. It's warmer than Lake Washington. That's why I'm picking Lake Sammamish. All right.
K9PQ, thanks for that. Let's move on to James, WU7N.
Days and WU7N Northeast Bellevue here. Well, Bob, thank you again for the pictures, and both Ron and Bob, thank you for the explanation on the houseboat. I get it now, and yeah, I can see if it wasn't Puget Sound, if it was just a lake, Lake Roosevelt, then it would be easier to maybe not hit anything important. Puget Sound, I'm convinced they need buoys with traffic lights in the center of it. And let's see, Richard, good job. Yeah, you're inspiring to all of us. I took a walk today, but something tells me it wasn't nearly as hard work as your exercise program. I just go up and down 4 hills, and I think I did 5 hills today, just because I was feeling energetic or maybe hyper-caffeinated. So let's see, what else? I did hear you on the stream, on the digital side. I heard the story, and I have to say that someone who walks around in the Pacific Northwest with a Trump T-shirt and an openly displayed firearm on his hip, well, in Tacoma, that's different story, I guess. But yeah, I wouldn't do it in Seattle. The thing about the state of Washington, you probably know this, but maybe other people don't. There's nothing that says you can't do exactly that, but there is another thing hidden in the revised code of Washington that says that if anybody considers whatever you're doing with a firearm to be threatening in some way, then I think that's a gross misdemeanor or something like that. So the definition of what does someone else consider to be threatening is dependent on the conditions, circumstances, and judgment of, I suppose it would be the police officer who comes out. But the reason why we still have open carry is I think we have so many festivals still in Washington State where, they dress up like cowboys and they put on all this acting of the OK Corral kind of thing. And so I do recall there was somebody going to one of those, this is like 10 years ago, and he's dressed up in his whole cowboy outfit. I mean, he's essentially an amateur actor, and he had the two guns on, and some cop asked him if they were real, and he goes, well, yeah, they're real. And there was, in that, someone had to sort of explain to the police officer, no, if you're going to and from your acting debut or venue, then you can have open carry firearms and be dressed up like Doc Holliday. Anyway, that's the story on that. My sister asked me about that once because she saw someone like that in Bellevue that was in a grocery store, and I said, well, yeah, first off, was he wearing a security guard uniform? Because that's very common in Bellevue. You see people. Again, I don't recommend it as good practice. Good security guard companies have you dress up there, do your security guard thing, then put on civilian clothes, and then leave work, and that removes the liability of it. But for some reason, he was there, and she had
Connected. Welcome to the Echolink test. Disconnected.
accessory or a statement, depending on how you want to look at it. James, WAU7N in Northeast Bellevue. Turn back to Dave, our net control for the Western Washington Amateur Television Society. Go ahead, Dave.
WU7N, thanks with that. Let's go to Carlos in Clyde Hill, 87 NP.
Oops, gotta mute. I'll turn on my 2 meters also in case Jim is not able to receive the stream. It's good copies. And James, just before I forget, when you go and replace the streaming key with the new one, make sure you don't miss what's already there, which was your call sign, question mark, token equals, and then it would be the new key that I just sent. Very nice pictures, Bob. As you can see, very easy to put things together. Good solution. Just a matter of putting all the right formats of the pictures. And great inspiration, Richard, on all that walking. I was I don't know how much I walked, but I did walk stairs up and down, because you get to the roof to do something, and then you remember that you left the wrench that you really needed downstairs, and so you walk down again, downstairs. Probably a better idea. I just need a second set of tools to just keep in the roof, you know, because it's impossible to remember all the things that you gotta take. And and then the U-bolts, always a problem. I always get the wrong size of the U-bolts. When I go to finally put the antenna together, then the U-bolts don't get into the right place. But I think everything is working as it should. The little antennas basically just have a small cable, and then on that's where the 905 has the whole radio, in fact. Then there's just kind of a network cable that comes from the radio to the place where I operate. But the whole radio is up there. So right now I'm just missing the hertz antenna that I will do next. Um, was also, it's time to get ready for the pressure washing. That's my next activity. I have to go and there's some solar panels next to the antenna, and it's time to go and wash the solar panels. So that's probably still this weekend activities. The problem is it's the sun. It's so hot. It's kind of either early in the morning or end of the day to get that done. And on the blow up of batteries and cameras, Jim, there's definitely some good deals out there, as many of the OEMs are kind of coming on the season, either back to school or other campaigns. So there's definitely some good deals out there to be had. I see that Wade has joined also on Discord, so I'm going to pass to Net Control, and then we can probably give a chance to Wade to come in also. Back to Dave, KD7ZYM from 87 NP.
W7ITL disconnected. Connected. W7ITL repeater.
87NP, thanks with that. This is Dave, KD7ZYM, and this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net on the 08 machine. Boy, we're talking about concealed weapons. Well, we did have an issue in downtown Seattle last week, or last 10 days, where some youths with guns decided to shoot a couple of a couple of people on the street in downtown Seattle. Some vacationing people that came to visit, and this off-duty police officer who had, not an retired police officer, had a weapon, and he took out the shooter. So anyway, there is good guys with guns as well as bad guys with guns, so something to be learned there. And let's see, as I was working in the yard today, I noticed a rabbit went running by, but that rabbit had the greatest white cottontail I've ever seen. I've had several other rabbits in the neighborhood come by in property, but this is the first one that was a fairly medium dark rabbit with this big white tail. It was kind of interesting to see. That was about it. And let's see, we're talking about batteries blowing up. I had an episode, gosh, many years ago when NiCad batteries came out. I had built a battery case for 12 volts, but I needed to charge the batteries. I didn't think anything about it, but I had an automobile 6-amp battery charger I clamped onto the batteries to charge them. About 2 o'clock in the morning, there was an explosion in the basement where I was charging the batteries. And it was just too much energy, and learned my lesson with that. Don't charge NiCad batteries with a 6-amp charger. So that's about it. So I'm going to send it back up to Ron, KD7 QKU.
Okay, thank you, Dave. I missed most of Dave's conversation. He was talking about a battery charger. I got that, but I don't know what happened. And Richard was saying about the only thing I have, and I think he talked something about guns too, but I'm not sure. About the only thing I have seemed like is talk about is a gun. So Richard was saying he didn't see very many open carry. Well, I have a guy behind me. Quite a few guys in this neighborhood have guns. They don't necessarily all carry them, but I know they do have. The guy behind me, his name is Calvin. He's a black man, pretty young. He's got 3 little boys, I would say about 12, 13 on down. Takes them over to the park and plays baseball with them and stuff. So one day, Calvin always carries a gun. Biggest handgun I ever saw. I don't know if you guys know what a Desert Eagle, but it must be Desert Eagle size. I don't know what caliber it is. Never did ask him. But anyway, one day I said, what do you do, Calvin? Because it doesn't seem like he hardly ever works. He said, well, I played football for the Cougars, and then he said I wasn't good enough to really get a good pro contract, so he said I played arena football for about 5 years, and then he said I found out that you could make more money cage fighting. So he was a cage fighter. So you have to be a pretty tough guy to be a cage fighter. And I don't think you need to carry a gun if you're a cage fighter. But he carries a gun almost every time I see him. Big handgun and open carry on his hip. And one day I asked him why he carried the gun all the time. And he said it's just to intimidate people. He said, I don't want people hanging around this neighborhood. And he said they stole the propane tanks off of the Larry, his next door neighbor, and he said it really pissed me off. So he said I put a camera on the front of my house, but he said I started open carrying right after that because he said I wanted those idiots to drive around and look for something to steal in the neighborhood to realize that they better not hang around my neighborhood. So that's why he said he opens carries, but he carries almost every day I ever see him. So anyway, so let's see, what else do I have to talk about? Not much, I guess. It was nice to see her, but I don't know if Wade's going to join us. We got a text message saying that he was busy. He didn't show up at the ham club today, so I'm not sure what he's up to. Well, it may be working on his house or something, if you guys got the same text or email that I got. So anyway, it's always nice to hear your stories. So back to Net, KD7QKU.
KD7QKU, thanks with that. Let's go to Bob, K9PQ in Bothell.
I've got this picture-in-picture thing down. I agree. That's really easy. It's really easy, to manipulate stuff in OBS. It's a really good tool. My problem is I don't think of doing these things, so I'm happy for the suggestions. Any other suggestions, Carlos? I'm open. Let's see. Yeah, forgetting tools is good exercise. Isn't that the truth? I've done that plenty of times. You just don't want to be, on some remote job somewhere and realize, oh, I left this tool at home. That's not so good. And also when I used to, own older homes, I haven't had to do much of anything to this place, but I used to say a home project requires 3 trips to the hardware store because no matter how much you try to plan, it seems like you always need to go back for more things that you hadn't thought of. And the U-bolts, man, do I know that story? You collect some of these holders that have the U-bolt and then the thing with the jagged teeth, and you get a collection of these things, and then it's hard to fit one into the other because you never had the right pair. Yeah, I've encountered that several times. I know just what you mean about that. Um, so I do know what a desert eagle is, Ron, and that's pretty wild. But that's an interesting point of view, an interesting reason for carrying, and I can absolutely see that. And I imagine it works. I imagine it probably works. I don't think I would be quite that bold, but that's interesting. And a cage fighter. Talk about bold, man! Oh man, making money at it. You got to be good too to make money. I imagine you only get money, or you get more money if you win than if you lose. So that's pretty wild. He found that to be better money. So yeah, so you're seeing the this houseboat again on Lake Roosevelt, and one of the things I really like about Lake Roosevelt is that because it was formed by the Grand Coulee Dam. That's why there's a lake there, and it's just the water that has backed up behind the dam. But because it is a recent lake, basically it was created in the 40s. Um, it's in geological terms, it's an extremely recent lake, and that's why you have all of these nice little coves you can go into. It's filled with them, and it lets you have a lot of privacy. You can go out there and feel like you're out there by yourself. And the reason why other lakes don't have them is because over thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of years, that water smooths everything out, smooths the shoreline out. You don't have those coves. So there's your geology lesson for the day. Okay, back to net control. This is KK.
K9PQ, thanks for that. Let's pick up Richard, K7ITX.
Well, speaking of geology lesson, I don't know if you've seen on the local news, it's been covered a couple times by some of the stations, but it's the rock fall, the rocks and the dirt, part of a cliff that's caved in and has got Chuckanut Drive blocked off. That's the old highway that they used back in the old days until you get to Bellingham. Now it's just it's a beautiful scenic drive, or ride your bike. It's just a beautiful place. Larrabee State Park is on the water. It goes all along the water. Primarily between Mount Vernon and the valley, all along the shoreline to Bellingham, and I'm amazed that it's still blocked off. That they're talking about weeks and weeks and weeks to yard out all the dirt and the rocks, and a geologist, if he probably could have predicted that it was going to happen. That's what they're good at, and that's why they get hired by the Army Corps of Engineers to help prevent things like this from happening. But I guess sometimes it's just not possible to mitigate, and everything comes down all in one big pile, and there you go, your road's blocked. So anyway, that popped into my mind when you gave us a geology lesson, Bob. So anyway, gosh, I got a busy week coming up, man. I got something going on every stinking day, and it's only going to get worse. I got a letter from the University of Washington on Friday inviting me to their kidney transplant program, and they gave me a whole list of procedures and examinations that I need to get clearance on, and as soon as I do that, I'll be on the list. And because I've been on dialysis for a year, they take a year off my waiting time. So instead of maybe 3 or 4 years to wait, maybe I'll only have to wait 2 or 3. And then another credit I get is all the anti-rejection drugs that I take now for my lung transplant makes me a perfect candidate for kidney transplant, because my body's all acclimated to this type of thing, and plus a kidney transplant compared to a lung transplant, it's just it's like plug and play. It's just so easy compared to getting in under your chest. The kidneys are right there, and it's a surgery that is very well proven itself over the years. It's not nearly as complicated as what I went through a year ago. Anyway, that's about all I know. I see it's just about the time to say goodbye, so I'll say 73. K7ITX, back to net control.
What say you?
And there's a problem with the second receiver, so I'm switching.
All right. Well, that was really long. Hey, nice to see everybody. Thanks for letting me go the last call here. I've been super busy with housework. I think I spent 3 or 4 hours today working on the house. At least 2 hours on the yard, mowing, weed whacking, uh, uh, digging up weeds and sticker bushes, and that's what I've been doing today. So pretty busy. We started doing some patchwork in the house on some of the walls and the ceiling. There's some little imperfections that we're trying to get all kind of cleaned up. We did some cleanup in the garage. So yeah, very busy today. I was a little sad I couldn't get to the Radio Club Tacoma, but I got to get this work done by Thursday. So for the inspection. So not moving anywhere, just refinancing. Just doing that stuff. So yeah, that's about it. Nice to hear Richard. Sounds like you're getting on your way to get your kidneys replaced with the program. It sounds really neat. Bob, that was pretty cool. The little boat pictures, I don't know if that was just a reel that you put together, or if that was like you were showing a boat that you were on recently. Yeah, OBS is pretty cool, and your OBS work is starting to look like some of the YouTubers. So you're gonna have to give me some pointers now. So and then open carry with Ron and his friend. Yeah, I don't know if I'd mess with a guy that's openly carrying if I saw him walking around the neighborhood and I was a thief or somebody trying to cause trouble. So I think that's about all I got for tonight. Thanks for letting me check in. 73. Everybody have a great evening, and I'll see you guys on the next round.
On the next.
W7ITL, thanks for that. And this is Dave, KD7CYM. And it's time to terminate the net for the Western Washington Amateur Television Society. We'd like to thank the SeaTac Repeater Association for letting us use WW7STR's repeater 147.08 with a tone of 103.5 for our voice transmissions. So again, on behalf of the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, this is Dave, KD7CYM, terminating the net at 9:01. Good evening, all.
ITL repeater disconnected.